The stars burned cold above a dying world. The alien people of Kalor gathered in the great hall, their faces pale, their eyes full of fear. For weeks their sky had been filled with the fire of enemy warships. The empire of Dravok had come, ruthless and merciless, crushing cities, burning villages, and leaving nothing but smoke behind. The Kalor were not warriors. Their fleets were small, their defenses weak. They were traders, scholars, and artists, not soldiers. But now they faced extinction. Their leaders stood in silence, knowing no one would come to help, for the galaxy was ruled by fear, and none dared to oppose the Dravok. In their desperation, they sent a message. It was not sent to kings or to empires, not to the mighty races who ruled the stars. It was sent to a world many thought weak, a world others mocked, a world ignored by most, Earth. Humans, the message cried, we beg for aid, we beg for mercy. Our children are dying, our homes are burning. If you still believe in honor, if you still believe in justice, answer our call. The message spread through the darkness of space. Some laughed at it, some called it foolish. Humans cannot stand against the Dravok, they whispered. Humans are young, soft, untested. But deep within Earth's hidden councils, the message did not bring laughter. It brought silence, heavy and deep. The human leaders listened, their eyes cold, their voices steady. For long years, humanity had been quiet, building in the shadows, hiding their greatest strength. They had made peace with many, but they had not forgotten their wars. Legends still lived among them, legends of a fleet that once rose in humanity's darkest hour, a fleet so powerful that even empires spoke of it in fear. Most thought those stories were myths, old tales told by veterans, nothing more. But the message from Kalor awakened something. The council spoke in loud voices, some fearful, some eager. Why should we risk our own blood for strangers, one asked. Because if we do nothing, the galaxy will believe we are weak, another answered. Because if we do nothing, the Dravok will come for us next, a third voice said, calm and steady. At last the chamber grew still. A single order was given. Awaken the fleet. Far below Earth's oceans, where no eye could see, vast hangars began to stir. Engines that had slept for centuries hummed with power. Ships that were older than empires lifted from their cradles, silent giants cloaked in darkness, their names whispered in fear by those who still remembered. Meanwhile, on Kalor, hope was fading. The alien children cried as the sky burned brighter each night. Their leaders prayed, but their prayers turned bitter. Why would humans come for us, they asked. Why would they risk everything for a people they do not know? And then, one night, a signal reached them. Not weak, not broken, but strong, firm, and filled with steel. It was a human voice, calm and steady. This is Earth Command. We have received your call. Prepare yourselves, for help is coming. The Kalor froze, their hearts leaping, their fear replaced by shock. Had the humans truly answered? Was the legend true? Across their world, whispers began. The fleet of myths, some said. It cannot be real. But others clung to hope, their eyes shining for the first time in weeks. And in the dark between stars, the first ships began to move. Massive warforms shaped like beasts of steel, wings of fire spreading across the void. One by one, they emerged from hiding, hundreds of them, then thousands, their hulls engraved with scars of battles fought long ago. Their arrival shook the silence of space, like thunder before a storm. The Dravok, confident in their power, laughed as they saw the Kalor broken and afraid. They did not know that far away, humanity's legends had risen again. They did not know that soon, the stars themselves would tremble. And as the first of Earth's warships cut through the void, a voice echoed across human channels. For too long they called us weak. For too long they believed the myths were lies. Now let them see the truth. The fleet of myths had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The council chamber on Earth was filled with voices. Some leaders shouted in anger, others whispered in fear, and many sat in silence, staring at the glowing transmission from the alien world of Kalor. The faces of the Kalor people, burned and broken, filled the screens, their cries for help echoing across the chamber. Why should we help them? One general asked, his hand striking the table. Their world is far, their war is not ours. We risk bringing the Dravak down upon ourselves. Another voice rose, softer but firm. If we let Kalor burn, then who will stand for us when the Dravak come here? The room grew tense, every word heavier than steel. In the back of the chamber, an old admiral leaned forward, his eyes cold, his voice quiet, but cutting through the noise. You all forget the truth. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not silent. We have waited, we have built, and now the time has come. His words silenced the room, because in every mind was the same thought. The legends of the fleet, the myths that had never fully died, far from the eyes of other races, Earth had hidden its might. Not in open skies, not in showy parades, but deep in oceans, under mountains, and in the shadows of moons. Vast shipyards had been built, silent and unseen, constructing war machines that no one outside Earth had ever witnessed. Even many of Earth's own people believed the legends were just stories. But now, the fleet was stirring again. The Kalor waited, watching the stars, every hour bringing more destruction to their world. They had almost given up hope, until a single message arrived. It was be down CTC. Reef, but it carried weight like thunder. This is Earth Command, we will come. The Kalor leaders trembled, some with joy, some with fear. What can the humans do, one asked. They are not strong enough, their fleets are small. But others whispered of the old stories, of human ships that once vanished into the void, never seen again. What if those stories were true? What if the humans had hidden their greatest strength? Back on Earth, preparations began at once. Massive sealed doors opened under the seas, releasing black silhouettes of colossal ships into the water before they rose into the sky. Beneath the sands of deserts, armored giants crawled upward, their engines glowing red, and on the far side of the moon, a hidden base came alive, releasing thousands of drones and carriers that had slept for decades. Everywhere, humanity's silence ended. Soldiers boarded warships with steady steps. Engineers activated ancient weapons that no other race had ever seen. The fleet of myths was no longer a story, it was a reality, and its shadow began to spread across the galaxy. The Dravak meanwhile laughed, their commanders mocking the Kalor cries for help. Do you think the humans will save you? One broadcast declared. They are weak. They are cowards. They will hide, as they always have. But far from their knowledge, humanity was not hiding anymore. On Kalor, the sky burned brighter each day, enemy ships circling above like vultures waiting for the final strike. Children cried, mothers prayed, fathers clenched their fists in hopeless rage. Then, in the midst of despair, the stars shifted. Tiny lights appeared at first, faint and distant, then more, then hundreds, then thousands, until the night sky itself was covered. At first the Kalor thought it was another Dravak fleet come to end them, but then the transmissions arrived, strong, sharp, and unyielding. Human. Fleet entering Kalor system, stand by. Hope exploded in the hearts of the Kalor and fear entered the hearts of the Dravak. Because the ships that emerged were not weak, they were not small, they were not primitive, they were vast, dark, scarred titans of war. Each one older than the empires that ruled the stars, each one humming with power that made the void itself tremble. The Dravak fleet commander sneered at first, calling the humans fools, but when the human ships aligned, their weapons glowing like suns, his sneer faltered. Legends whispered in shadowed corners of the galaxy came rushing back to him. Could it be true? Could this truly be the fleet of myths? The Kalor wept as they watched the dark shapes take position between their planet and the enemy. For the first time in weeks, they believed they might live to see another sunrise. But still, doubt remained. Would the humans fight, or would they fall? The silence of space held for one long moment, and then a single human voice spoke across every channel. To those who begged for aid, do not fear. To those who brought war, prepare yourselves, for you have awakened what should never have been awakened. The fleet of myths was ready. The war for Kalor had truly begun. The stars over Kalor flickered as shadows moved through the void. At first, the aliens thought they were tricks of light, illusions born from desperation. But then the shadows grew, vast outlines sliding through the dark, engines burning with a pale, ancient fire. The fleet of myths was no longer hidden. It was real, and it was here. The Kalor gathered in cities and ruins, eyes raised toward the heavens, their children pointed, their elders whispered prayers, some wept openly, unable to believe that help had truly come. And yet, even as hope returned, fear lingered, for the ships above were not like any they had seen before. The human fleet did not shine with polished glory. It was not decorated like the fleets of other empires. These ships were black, scarred, monstrous, their hulls carved with symbols from wars so ancient they were forgotten by most. Their size dwarfed anything the Kalor had imagined. Some ships stretching like floating cities, others sleek and sharp like blades drawn from the dark. They moved with silence, with precision, and with purpose. On board those ships, humanity's warriors prepared. Generals walked through command decks, their voices calm, their eyes hard. Engineers brought weapons online, their machines glowing brighter than suns. Old systems, untouched for centuries, roared back to life. The fleet was not only awakening, it was remembering. The Dravak fleet, circling above Kalor, watched in disbelief. At first they laughed, their commanders mocking the rusted myths that had come to face them. But when their scanners finished reading the human warships, the laughter turned to silence. Energy levels beyond their understanding, weapon systems unlike any they had ever seen. One officer whispered, "This is not possible." But in his heart he knew it was. The human admiral spoke, his voice cutting across space. "This is Earth Command, to the Dravak fleet. You have one chance, withdraw or be destroyed." The words echoed like thunder. The Dravak commander sneered, sending his reply, "Humans, you think your old toys can frighten us? Your legends are nothing but stories. Your fleet will burn with the Kalor." And so the silence broke. The first human ship moved forward, its engines leaving trails of blue fire across the void. Its hull carried scars older than the Dravak Empire itself. Its name flashed across every channel, Oblivion's Spear. The Kalor gasped, for even they had heard whispers of that name. A ship said to have destroyed entire armadas in forgotten wars. One by one, the rest of the fleet took their places. Colossus-class dreadnoughts, their cannons the size of mountains. Shadow-class. The stealth frigates vanishing and reappearing like ghosts. Guardian-class carriers launching thousands of drones like a storm of steel birds. The void filled with humanity's silent army. And in that moment, the Kalor understood. This was not just a fleet, this was a force of nature. On the surface, alien families embraced, their tears falling not from despair but from awe. They knew they were watching history. They knew they were seeing the truth behind the myth. And still, the greatest fear was not for the Dravak. It was for humanity itself. For if the humans could hide this much power for so long, what else had they hidden? Above them, the fleet began to form its lines, thousands of ships aligning in perfect silence, their weapons glowing like stars about to be born. The Dravak moved too, their fleet shifting nervously, commanders barking orders. But deep inside, fear had already cracked their courage. The Kalor's leaders huddled in their halls. "Can the humans win?" one asked, voice trembling. "They are our only hope," another answered. "If they fall, we fall with them." And in the skies above, the answer was about to be written in fire. The human admiral gave his final order, his words steady, cold, and filled with power. "For too long we have hidden. For too long we have watched in silence. Today the galaxy will remember what humanity truly is." Engines flared, weapons ignited, and the fleet of myths surged forward. The awakening was complete. The storm was about to begin. The void between stars grew heavy with silence. On one side, the Dravak fleet waited, their ships like dark blades against the starlight. On the other, humanity's fleet of myths stretched across the system, massive and unyielding. Every Kalor eye was fixed on the sky, their hearts beating fast, for the fate of their world hung in that silence. The Dravak commander sneered, his voice sharp as he broadcast across all channels. "Humans, you hide behind old wrecks. Your fleet is nothing but shadows of the past. We will burn your myths as we burn this world." His crew roared, with laughter, believing their numbers and firepower would crush any resistance. But deep inside, unease stirred, for never before had they seen ships like these. On the flagship of the human fleet, the admiral stood tall, his eyes fixed on the enemy lines. He did not raise his voice, yet every word carried power. "Let them test their arrogance. Today the galaxy will remember." His order came calm and sharp. All ships advance. Engines thundered across the void, thousands of human vessels sliding into formation. The Kalor gasped as the black wave of ships moved like one giant beast. The Dravak opened fire first, torrents of plasma streaking across the stars. Explosions lit up the darkness as wave after wave rained down. But when the fire reached the humans, it broke like water against stone. The fleet's shields shimmered, ancient energy fields bending light itself. The enemy's strongest weapons left only ripples across the vast defenses. On Kalor, whispers spread, the myths are true. Then humanity struck back. The first volley came from Oblivion's spear, its cannons unleashing a storm of blue fire. One Dravak cruiser vanished in a single blast, its hull torn apart like paper. Another followed, then another, until the enemy formation faltered. The Kalor cheered, their cries echoing through streets and ruins. For the first time, hope was stronger than fear. But the humans did not stop. The Colossus-class dreadnoughts roared, their weapons tearing through entire wings of enemy ships. Shadow-class frigates appeared from nowhere, striking at weak points before vanishing again into the void. Carriers released swarms of drones that darted through enemy fire, slicing apart fighters and bombers with precision. The Dravak fleet reeled, their commanders shouting in panic. "This cannot be," one cried. "They were supposed to be weak." Another screamed, "No fleet shoot. Old have this power." But the truth was clear. The legends had been real all along. Still, the Dravak did not retreat. Driven by pride, they launched their full assault, their largest battleships moving forward. They unleashed planet busters, weapons meant to shatter Kalor's surface. The Kalor screamed as the sky lit with death. But humanity's fleet moved faster. Guardian-class carriers deployed barrier arrays, vast shields wrapping around the planet like a second skin. The planet killers struck the barriers and shattered, their fire dying in silence. The people below wept, for the humans had caught the fire meant to end them. Then came the moment that silenced even the Dravak. A single ship, vast and monstrous, moved from the center of the human fleet. Its name burned across the void, Eternal Wrath. Legends claimed this ship had once fought alone against 10 empires. Now, as its weapons ignited, the void itself trembled. Beams of pure energy carved through the enemy's largest warships as if they were made of glass. One by one, the Dravak giants fell, their wreckage drifting like broken bones through the stars. On Kalor, children pointed at the sky, crying with joy. Elders fell to their knees, whispering prayers of gratitude. And yet, in their hearts, a new fear was born. For the humans they had called weak were not weak at all. They were something else, something greater, something dangerous. The Dravak commander, his pride shattered, stared at the burning wreckage of his fleet. He had thought the humans were prey, easy to crush, but now he saw the truth. Humanity was the predator. His final order was given through gritted teeth. All ships, regroup, we will strike again. But deep down he knew, the war had changed, the galaxy had changed, and the humans had only just begun. The battlefield above Kalor burned, wreckage of Dravak ships drifting like shattered bones across the stars. The Kalor wept with relief, believing the worst was over, believing that the humans had saved them. But the war was not done, not yet. For the Dravak, furious and humiliated, gathered more forces, pulling reinforcements from across nearby systems, and humanity, silent and cold, prepared to reveal the true depth of its power. On the bridge of Eternal Wrath, the human admiral stood unshaken. His officers spoke in sharp tones, reporting new enemy fleets rushing toward Kalor. The admiral did not flinch. He only said, "Then we will show them what they fear in their dreams." The Kalor leaders begged through transmissions, "Please, do not abandon us now. They will destroy us if they return stronger." The admiral's reply was calm, steady, and terrifying. "We did not come here to save one world. We came here to send a message." Across the human fleet, strange weapons came alive, massive structures extended from dreadnoughts, humming with unnatural energy. Shields glowed brighter, bending the fabric of space itself. The Kalor scientists watching gasped, unable to understand the technology before them. This should not exist," one whispered. "It is beyond everything we know." When the Dravak reinforcements arrived, their numbers filled the horizon, tens of thousands of warships, all burning with hatred. Their commander roared, "Humans, your myths end today. Your fleet will be erased, and Kalor will burn." But when they saw the human lines, something inside them trembled. The humans did not move. They simply waited, calm as stone. Then, with one order, the sky itself broke. The human dreadnoughts unleashed their ancient cannons, beams of energy brighter than suns. Entire enemy formations vanished in silence. Ships turned to ash before they could fire. The Shadow-class frigates darted like phantoms, striking at engines, leaving the Dravak blind and crippled. Drones swarmed in clouds, tearing fleets apart with surgical precision. The Dravak screamed, their confidence dense shattered as death came faster than thought. Kalor's people cried out, their voices filled with awe and terror. They had asked for help, but what had come was beyond help. It was vengeance. They began to realize that humanity was not just defending them, humanity was proving itself to the galaxy. In desperation, the Dravak unleashed forbidden weapons, torrents of antimatter, storms of plasma, even unstable stars ripped from their orbits. But the human fleet stood unbroken. The Guardian-class carriers expanded shields that swallowed entire blasts. The eternal wrath alone consumed a weapon meant to shatter Kalor's surface, and returned fire that split an enemy super dreadnought in half. The Kalor gasped as entire constellations seemed to burn. It was no longer a battle. It was an execution. The humans fought not with desperation, but with precision, with cold fury, with wrath. Each move was calculated, each strike perfect. They were not only winning, they were teaching. On the Dravak flagship, the commander fell to his knees. He stared at the endless black wave of human ships and whispered, "It was true. The myths were true. We should have left them alone." But his words were drowned by the screams of his fleet, torn apart ship by ship. Meanwhile, Kalor's leaders stood in silence. They had begged for help, and they had received it. But now they wondered if the price would be greater than their survival. For the humans they had called saviors looked more like gods of war. And gods were never merciful. The human admiral's final order cut through the void, his voice sharp as a blade. Erase their will to fight. Leave survivors only to carry the story. The galaxy must learn what happens when they call us weak. The fleet obeyed. Dravak ships exploded in waves, one after another, until only a handful remained. Those survivors fled, their engines burning, their voices carrying one truth across the stars. The humans are awake. The myths are real. On Kalor, the people cheered, and their planet saved. But in the shadows of their joy, a deeper fear grew, for they had seen not just the strength of humanity, but the wrath of humanity, and the galaxy would never forget it. The stars around Kalor were littered with wreckage, Dravak ships torn apart, their flames still burning in the void. The Kalor looked upward with hope and fear, whispering that the nightmare was finally ending. But in the shadows of space, new signals began to appear, faint at first, then stronger. More Dravak fleets were coming, not small patrols, not scattered reinforcements, but the full power of the Empire. On the bridge of eternal wrath, alarms echoed, officers reporting the numbers with trembling voices. "Admiral, we count over 50,000 ships inbound, carriers, dreadnoughts, planet breakers. Their entire armada is on the move." The Kalor leaders gasped when they heard, their voices breaking. "This is impossible. No one can stand against that, even you cannot." But the human admiral stood tall, his face calm, his eyes steady as steel. His voice carried no fear, only certainty. "We did not come here to fight a battle. We came to end a war. Today, the galaxy will learn the cost of underestimating humanity." The Dravak armada emerged from hyperspace, a black wall stretching across the horizon. Their ships blotted out stars, their weapons glowing like a storm ready to strike. The Kalor trembled, believing no force in existence could resist such power. The Dravak commander broadcast to every channel, his voice dripping with venom. "Humans, you have humiliated us long enough. Today your myths die, your fleet will be broken, and your world will be next." Silence followed. Then, with a single gesture, the human admiral gave his order. "All ships, prepare for the final stand." Across the fleet, Dreadnoughts powered ancient cannons, frigates cloaked into shadow, carriers released wave after wave of drones, engines roared, shields expanded, weapons charged. The fleet of myths was alive, not as a story, but as an unstoppable force. The Kalor watched in awe. To them, it felt like gods were preparing for war. Some prayed, others cried. Children pointed at the sky with wide eyes. They knew history was unfolding above them. Then the storm broke. The Dravak Armada unleashed its fury, endless torrents of plasma, antimatter shells, planet crackers, their combined fire lighting the void brighter than suns. The human fleet did not flinch, their shields bending reality itself, absorbing the storm, holding back the fire meant to erase Kalor. The planet below shook from the shockwaves, but it did not break. The humans stood like a wall of iron. Then came the counterstrike. Oblivion's spear fired first, its cannon splitting an enemy battleship clean in half. Eternal Wrath followed, unleashing beams that carved through entire enemy formations. Frigates cut engines, vanishing, only to reappear inside enemy lines, tearing them apart from within. Carriers filled the skies with drones, swarms of steel birds overwhelming enemy fighters and bombers. The Kalor cried out in awe, their hearts pounding as they saw the impossible made real, yet the Dravak did not retreat. Driven by rage, they pushed harder, sacrificing ship after ship. Their commanders screamed, "Kill them, crush them, erase their name from history." But each charge only fed the wrath of humanity. Every sacrifice was answered with fire tenfold stronger. Still the battle dragged on. The Kalor could hardly breathe as they watched both fleets clash in endless fire. The humans were mighty, but the enemy numbers seemed without end. "Will they fall?" one Kalor elder whispered. "Can even gods hold against so many?" On the human flagship, the admiral's eyes narrowed. He saw the truth. The Dravak would not stop. They would keep coming until broken beyond repair. And so his final command was given, cold and absolute. Activate the last protocol, unleash the storm. For a moment, silence filled the human fleet, as if even the stars themselves held their breath. Then new weapons awoke. Weapons the galaxy had never seen, weapons hidden for centuries. The fleet of myths was about to show its true face. The Kalor leaders trembled as their sensors lit with impossible readings. "What is this?" they cried. "What are the humans about to do?" But no one answered, for only humanity knew. And the answer would change the galaxy forever. The void burned with fire. The Dravak Armada filled the stars, their weapons still pouring death across the Kalor skies. The human fleet, scarred but unbroken, stood firm, shields shimmering, engines glowing. Every Kalor eye watched in silence, every heart trembling, for they knew the end was near one way or another. On the bridge of eternal wrath, the admiral's voice cut through the storm, calm and final. Activate the last protocol. Across the fleet, ancient systems unlocked, codes long buried were spoken. Engines roared as if the ships themselves were awakening to their true form. For centuries, the humans had hidden their greatest weapons, weapons not meant for ordinary battles, but for the survival of humanity itself. The Kalor sensors screamed with impossible readings, energy rising beyond all measure. "What are they doing?" their leaders gasped. "This is not war, this is something else." And they were right. The fleet of myths was about to show why it was feared across forgotten ages. Then it began. From the dreadnoughts came lances of light, tearing through enemy armadas as if they were made of dust. Entire fleets vanished in moments, their screams lost in silence. From the carriers, drones formed massive swarms, merging into living storms of steel, cutting through Dravak fighters like blades of lightning. The Shadow-class frigates danced in and out of reality, appearing inside. Enemy lines, detonating their cores, vanishing before the fire could reach them. And at the heart of it all, eternal wrath moved forward, its weapons igniting the void. The Dravak commander screamed in rage, ordering every ship to strike at the human flagship. Thousands of cannons fired, the sky turned white with fury. But eternal wrath did not fall. Its shields bent space itself, absorbing the storm, and when it answered, the enemy fleet broke, a single weapon activated, a weapon spoken only in whispers, the judgment array. It opened like a burning star, its energy flooding the system. The Dravak ships caught in its reach dissolved into ash, their hulls turning to molten fire before vanishing. The Kalor shielded their eyes, unable to watch the fury unleashed. When the light faded, half the enemy fleet was gone. Panic spread through the Dravak ranks. Some screamed, others fled, their commanders shouting in vain to hold the line. But the tide had turned. Humanity's wrath had become unstoppable. The Kalor cried out in awe. They had begged for mercy, and what had come was not mercy, it was judgment. They saw gods of war moving across the stars, and they realized they were safe, but at what cost? The Dravak Empire's might shattered piece by piece, their planet breakers exploded, their dreadnoughts torn apart, their carriers split in two. The survivors fled in terror, their only thought to escape, to carry the tale of what they had seen. And that was exactly what the human admiral wanted. On the bridge of eternal wrath, his voice echoed cold and steady. Leave survivors, let them spread the truth. The galaxy must remember, the galaxy must fear. His officers obeyed, the human fleet pausing its fire just enough for broken ships to escape. Those fleeing Dravak carried only one message: the humans are awake, the myths are real. On Kalor the people wept, their planet saved, their enemies destroyed. They filled the streets with cheers, songs, and prayers, but their leaders stood silent, for they had seen more than salvation. They had seen the power of humanity unleashed, and in their hearts they wondered, if such wrath was turned against them one day, who could survive? When the last flames faded, the human fleet gathered, silent, scarred, but undefeated. The admiral looked out across the stars, his words calm. Let this be a warning. Never mistake our silence for weakness, never mistake our mercy for surrender. The fleet of myths turned, engines burning as they prepared to vanish once again into the shadows. The Kalor bowed in gratitude, their voices trembling with awe. But deep inside, the galaxy itself trembled, for the humans had returned, and their legends had been reborn.